The following podcast contains adult content, including adult language. I talk openly about sex and other adult topics. If you are under the age of 18 or are uncomfortable listening to sexually explicit narratives, please listen no further. I am not a professional therapist, counselor, or doctor. I'm just an average guy in the swinger lifestyle who likes to share his experiences. This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Please seek a professional if you are in need of guidance or care as it relates to sexual health or alternative lifestyles. Hello and welcome to Evan Swings, a podcast about the swinger lifestyle from the perspective of a guy in the lifestyle. That would be my perspective. I'm Evan, and I welcome you to my podcast. If you are new around here, I'm half of a lifestyle couple. My lovely wife, Eva, makes up the other half, and we have been swinging for just over 3.5 years now. I hope you enjoy this episode. And you might take a listen to some of my other episodes, especially my first ones. Episodes 1 through 7, those are the ones where I talk about how we got into the lifestyle and our first adventures. Just remember, I'm not an expert and I don't claim to be. I'm not a professional of any kind. I'm not even a professional podcaster. I'm sitting right now in my home office on my home computer with a Amazon purchased microphone in front of me. Free audio software. So definitely not a professional. I'm just an average dude enjoying the lifestyle with his wife. And if you are a returning listener, you know I love you. Welcome back. Thanks for being with me as always. It is always nice to have you here and to hear from you guys and tell me that you've been enjoying the show. Really appreciate that. Before we start today's episode, I have a bit of a personal announcement to make. I record my episodes in advance. You know, when the mood strikes me, when I have time, and when my daughter is not in the house, I'll hop on here and I'll jot down a bunch of notes and then I'll record an episode. I don't have like a set schedule when it comes to creating and recording these episodes. What I'm getting at is that when you hear this, it may be a month or two after I actually recorded it. With that in mind, I wanted to note that I am a teacher and I am currently on spring break. It dawned on me that I first began this podcast last year when I was on spring break. Therefore, I am pleased to say that I have been doing this for a year now. This is like my 1-year anniversary. Closing in on 50 episodes. This is episode 45. I'm going to try and plan something a little special for my 50th episode, since it's, kind of a milestone. But for this, the 1-year anniversary of Evan Swings being a podcast available worldwide, I'm just going to say thank you to anyone who has given it a chance. If you have listened at some point before and have found your way back here again, thank you. Thank you so much. If nobody listened to my podcast, I probably would just stop doing it. It would be pointless. But knowing I have at least a few people listen, at least a few people enjoy it, well, at least a few people that might get something out of it, that is enough for me. So thank you again. Thank you, everyone. Quick updates for you. The Slapper from episode 37, thankfully, has yet to contact me again. I've actually only seen one sign of that couple since. They posted a comment on someone else's photo on one of the lifestyle sites that we visit. But that's it. If I hadn't seen that one comment, I probably would have assumed that they were no longer active on any sites at all. Thankfully, though, no interactions with me. He has not reached out to me again, and I hope it stays that way. I have no desire to deal with his crazy ass again. And no further movement with Operation Fogsy. Sorry, guys. Just being honest with you, if nothing happens to report to you, then nothing happens. I mean, I can't make something happen, unfortunately, as much as I wish it would. Trust me. And actually, speaking of that crazy ass, this episode is all about a crazy ass individual. At least I'm 99% sure. First, a little background. You've heard me talk in the past about how I mostly use SLS and SDC as places to meet new people. Those are the two best sites, in my opinion, for that purpose. But there are some other sites I occasionally log onto and just, have a peek around. Two of those particular sites are BuyCupid and 3Fun. Those two sites are not necessarily awful, but they are nowhere near as good as SLS and SDC, in my opinion, of course. First of all, they are very expensive. We bought a lifetime membership to SLS and SDC. I found that those sites, I find them to be the best and worth the money. Best value, I guess you'd say. But those other two sites, BuyCupid and 3Fun, not as cost-friendly at all. So I just keep a free membership on them and just check them occasionally. I've tried a premium subscription, premium membership on each of those two sites for a few months just to see. But even with the premium memberships, do you know how many total couples Eva and I have met by using those two apps combined? One couple total, going on 4 years. We've met one couple. Everyone else has been through SLS, SDC, the Synday website, which is if you're new to the show, Synday is a club between Dayton and Cincinnati. We are here in the Dayton area. And a couple of other sites. There's the Play Champagne website, a couple other sites. Just haven't had much success with BuyCupid and 3Fun. Why? Well, mostly because, for whatever reason, those sites have a lot of fake profiles, a lot of fakes and flakes is what I call them. Remember how I said it was pretty expensive? Well, that could be why, all right? That's my hypothesis, at least. It's easy to create a free profile and maintain a free membership. My guess is that a lot of people do that because it's very expensive to have a premium membership. But then also, because it's free, you get a lot of fake profiles. Creeps, losers, weirdos, and of course, thieves. They will create a free profile pretending to be someone they're not in an effort to get you to send them photos. Or far worse, like rob you. I told you, I was the victim of a sextortion attempt at one point. I can't remember what episode it was, but I did a podcast episode about it. It happened to a friend of ours as well. Lots and lots of jerkwads in this world. So of course, you will find them lurking in the shadows of lifestyle sites as well, unfortunately. And my story today, if I hadn't learned from my previous experience, I may have been a victim again. It was, I hate to say it, kind of impressive on this person's part. It seemed that he, assuming he was a he was pretty good at this and was very patient with the process. So here's what happened. It all started with an error on the BuyCupid app. I was taking a look at their membership prices. I was curious, and I noticed it said $34 a month. But then underneath that, in smaller print, almost like it was supposed to be like breaking down the price further, it said that it was $8 a month. I was very confused. So just to satisfy my curiosity, I sent an email to BuyCupid asking, what was the correct price. It said $34 a month, but then right underneath it, it said $8 a month. They responded within 24 hours, thanking me for noticing the error and bringing it to their attention. And as a token of their gratitude, they said that they would be giving me a free week's subscription to their premium service. Well, because of that, I found myself on BuyCupid more than usual, taking advantage of the premium subscriptions benefits. I was able to chat with a few couples, which I probably never would have done if I hadn't won that free week. And as I was swiping through profiles, I came across this one. It was a very young couple, 21 or 22, I believe. She was a smoking hot blonde, and he was standing next to her. Handsome, good-looking guy, but obviously very young. What stood out to me, though, was that they were obviously in an ice arena, and he was decked out in his full hockey gear. It honestly looked like he had just got done playing a game. His hair was kind of wet, like it was sweaty. Their location said New York, so based on their ages and their location, they were not a match for Eva and myself. But I am a massive hockey fan, guys. Massive hockey fan. So I decided to just like their profile. Sometimes I'll do that, okay? Even though there really isn't much chance of ever meeting, if I see a profile that stands out, with interest like my own, I'll hit the like button. One time I liked a profile of a couple holding a Labrador Retriever puppy. I love dogs, especially labs. So I hit the like button. If the person happens to reach out to me, well, then I'm happy to tell them why I clicked the like button and give them a compliment. It could be nothing more than a compliment, because compliments are free, right? And who doesn't love a compliment? It doesn't hurt anyone. If I received a compliment, I would say thank you and move on. And that was my plan here. Just like the profile and move on. But something very surprising happened when I clicked the like button. It triggered a match. And what I mean by that is that they had liked our profile first. I thought that was quite strange. I was immediately leery and did not plan to send any kind of message to them. But they sent me a message. They introduced themselves as Kelly and Ryan. And yes, I am using the names they gave me because I truly think it is some dude who is out to scam people. If any of you listeners run into a Kelly and Ryan on BuyCupid where the dude is in a hockey jersey, be careful. I'll continue with my story and you'll see why. Supposedly it was the girl communicating with me, Kelly. She mentioned that her dad lived close to us in Ohio and they'd be coming out to visit soon. So they were looking to connect with people in our area. Excuse me. I was 95% sure that this was a fake profile at that point, and I was dealing with someone trying to scam me. But again, I had experience with this before. I knew how to avoid the traps. So I figured, you know what? I would have some fun and play along. And you know what? There was that 5% chance that this couple was real and were actually interested in an older couple like us. I told her that I was surprised she reached out to us because they were so much younger than Eva and myself. And by the way, I didn't even use our usual fake names. Like, I didn't even say we were Evan and Eva. I used completely different made-up names. But here's where it was different than a usual scammer. The messaging that we did took place over several days. With my last experience, the scammer wanted to bait me as quickly as possible. After, I would say 30 minutes or maybe even less than that, the scammer was already demanding money from me, threatening to release all our lifestyle photos on Facebook. This was different. A few days passed, and then she said, "This messaging app sucks. Can we switch to text messages?" I was still 95% sure this was a scam. I explained that we don't give out our actual numbers to couples whom we have not met in person yet. I asked if she had Kik or Telegram, and she said she did not. I thought that was kind of a red flag too. I thought to myself, this person thinks they're going to get me. I'm going to string them along. I decided to give her my number, but it wasn't my real number. It was through, I think it's called Text Now, which is just like a free text messaging app. Like, you get an actual phone number, but it's really through this app. She gave me hers, and I sent her a message just saying hi. And notice I'm still saying her, but you'll see, I don't think it was a her. While I awaited her response, I Googled the area code of her phone number. And it came back that it was a Texas number. But she said that she and her boyfriend lived in New York. I quickly went back to their profile to verify this. It indeed said New York. But as I scrolled down, I noticed two things. One, their account was a premium account. That made it less likely that they were fake. So, okay, now I'm like 90% sure that they are fake. I read further. Their profile was very well done. Lots of details. It seemed very real. And then I noticed that she mentioned she graduated from a college in Texas. So that made her phone number more believable. Okay, so now I'm like 85% sure this was a trick. At that point, we began chatting using what was supposedly her real number and then my texting app number. Again, though, what made it strange was that this person was not pressuring me into conversations immediately. It was like a very typical lifestyle conversation that I've had with multiple couples. Sometimes I wouldn't get a message for like 48 hours. And I'd think, okay, our conversation's over. Then I'd get a message just saying hello and asking how things were going. Occasionally she'd send a pic of her and her boyfriend. One, again, that seemed obviously taken at a hockey arena. And this one was at a camp in Pennsylvania. And I figured that out because there was a bulletin board in the background, and it had some flyers on it, and I did some Google research. So it was a hockey camp in Pennsylvania. Could this person actually be real? Is it possible? I was now about 80% convinced it was a scam. Still pretty darn sure, but as time went on, my level of confidence that it was slowly decreased. I mean, this went on for about 3 weeks. I was now 75% sure that this was a scam. Now, during those few weeks, she did say one thing that reassured me or kind of convinced me that something was fishy. She asked where in Ohio I was from. I reminded her that we lived in Dayton, as my profile said, and that she had mentioned that her dad lived close by to us. So I immediately asked, I'm like, where does your dad live? And she said, Cincy, meaning Cincinnati. That kind of checked out, but why did she ask me again where I was from? Surely she remembered, because one of the main reasons she supposedly reached out to me was because we lived close to her dad. So that was a red flag. Back up to 80% sure that this was a scam. Now, one thing I will say, though, is if you're not from around here, you may not realize how big Ohio is. So if you know someone's from Ohio, you might say, oh yeah, my dad lives close to you, if they live in Ohio as well, not realizing that you could, spend 5 hours traveling across the state. Then, of course, it finally hit the fan. We found ourselves chatting back and forth one night, and usually our message came and went with long periods of time in between. She'd send something in the morning, I would respond in the afternoon. Then I wouldn't hear from her again until maybe the next morning. But our schedules seemed to line up, and we were now doing like live chatting, back and forth. And she sent me a very sexy pic, naked in the bathroom. No face was shown, but that's pretty common, to be honest. I don't send any photos of Eva, or myself for that matter, that involve nudity where our face is shown. I don't even really share scantily clad pics either. Ones that include our faces. Once we meet and we know the couple is legit and we're interested in them, then, we're a little bit more liberal with our photo sharing. So I didn't think anything of it. Seemed like the bodies matched up. It was my turn to respond, so I sent a naked photo of Eva. Again, without her face. She gave a compliment, said Ryan would love it when she was able to show him that picture, assuming that Ryan was not with her at the time. Then she asked if she could see my dick. Remember, folks, I do not send dick pics to anyone, ever, unless someone specifically asks me to. I think unsolicited dick pics are amateur level stuff. Keep it classy. But she specifically asked, so I sent her a dick pic. She responded with the words, it's not really even a word, it's more like a sound, like just M's. and asked if Eva wanted to see Ryan's. Eva was nowhere near me. She was down the hall in another room. Or she might have even been at work. I can't remember exactly. But Kelly didn't know this, and I could always show Eva later, so I just said, yes, sure. Well, I got this pic of a dude getting out of a shower, by the looks of it. Really long, hard dick. And here's the kicker. Part of the dude's face was in the photo. Like, just below the eyes, all the way down, you could see. And it looked nothing like Ryan did in his profile photos and the photos that were shared with me. I mean, nothing. I mean, he had like a little bit of a red scraggly beard and completely different jawbone, facial features, just different color hair. He looked older. It was obvious that this was not the same person. I responded, pretending Eva was with me, and I said, wow, that's long. But I find it interesting that the guy in the photo looks nothing like the previous photos of Ryan that you have sent to me. Her response? Really? Huh. And that was it. So I said, look, if you really want to meet us, you'll have no problem fulfilling a request. I said, send me a selfie. And in that selfie, close one eye and stick out your tongue. She said, how about we just video chat instead? LOL. I explained that we don't do that sort of thing until we meet a couple in person. And actually, we've never really done a video chat with anyone. I even explained that we have been the victims of a sextortion attempt, so we have to be very careful. And her response was, oh, sorry to hear that. I responded with, yeah, there are some real assholes out there. And that was it. It has been 2 weeks and no response. You would think that if someone was serious about meeting you, they would agree to a simple selfie and send you a message, within 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks, so they're not responding. But I called them out, and they knew they were had. After I gave them plenty of time to respond, and they never did, I decided it would be best to do the right thing, be a good person and report their profile to BuyCupid. Even if they didn't do anything, I would feel that I at least did something to prevent someone else from getting screwed over. I don't want anyone else to fall for their trap, of course. So I filled out the report form, submitted screenshots to show that this was, someone pretending to be someone that they're not. Still, as far as cons go, I was impressed. The detail of their profile and the way it was worded, it just totally sounded like a 21-year-old woman. It was so well thought out and just well written. And it was a premium account. So he was willing to pay for it with a credit card attached with his real name and address. Plus, to let our conversation go on so slowly and not immediately try to blackmail me, like immediately try to get more pictures from me and then blackmail me, that was also very impressive. Looking back, I'm shocked that he slipped up and included most of his face in that last pic. Or I guess it didn't have to be his face, but someone's face in that last picture to kind of, what's it called? Spoil the con. It was just, yeah, I was just, everything else was so well done, and just to make a stupid mistake like that, I guess that means he's still a stupid person, though. But you know what was also impressive? Me. I hate to brag, but I'm kind of proud of myself, all right? I saw the red flags right away. I mean, first of all, honestly, all right, why would a 21-year-old hottie from New York want anything to do with a short, bald dude from Dayton, Ohio? That alone was enough to ring the alarm bells. But I was overly careful, overly cautious, never gave any real details, never said our real names or where we lived, like what specific city or where we worked, never sent any provocative photos of ourselves that included our faces. You see, I learned the hard way from that sextortion attempt, which was, again, the subject of a previous Evan Swings episode. And I hope you listeners are learning something as well. Like, I hope what I have detailed in the sextortion episode and this episode will serve as a cautionary tale for anyone listening to this, for anyone going on their journey through the lifestyle as well. Just remember this. If it seems too good to be true, it probably isn't true. Is it possible that a 21-year-old hottie from New York with a rockin' body would want to have sex with a 48-year-old dad, slightly out of shape, short guy, 800 miles away from her? Yeah, I suppose it's possible. But think about how unlikely it is. Very. It's certainly fun to think about, though. I mean, Eva and I, we once chat with a 22-year-old hottie from Pennsylvania, and that was legit. Okay, and we vetted her completely, and that was legit. There seemed to be a real chance she was going to come out and visit us. And this was about a year and a half ago, I think. But that unfortunately never materialized and just fizzled out. But man, was it fun to think about. And it was such a huge confidence boost, like self-confidence boost. It was fantastic. And granted, she was much more interested in Eva than me. But she was willing to have me involved in the playtime, and that was good enough for me. She was actually, like I said, she was 22, or maybe 23, and she was married to I think a 60-year-old woman. It's been a while, so I can't remember the exact ages, but I'm pretty sure she was like 60 years old, and they were married. So her being in an older woman like Eva made a heck of a lot of sense. But again, sadly, that fizzled out. All right, well, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I hope maybe I have convinced you to maybe be a little bit more careful with interacting with others online, if, of course, you were not already. The lifestyle is filled with kind, wonderful people. But there are bad apples as well. Assholes in the lifestyle and assholes who pretend to be in the lifestyle just to steal your money or acquire naughty photos and videos. So please be careful. Be careful out there, okay? And if you have any questions about this episode or other stuff, any suggestions, comments, as always, please feel free to send them my way. Or I should say our way, because Eva is, of course, always willing to answer your questions as well. I'm always looking for excuses to get her on the show. So feel free, send her some questions. You can contact me by searching for the Evan Swings page on Blue Sky. So just go to Blue Sky, search for Evan Swings, and it should pop right up there for you. Or you can find me on Instagram at Evan Dienson. That's EvanDeanson. Or you can even use old-fashioned email. You can email me at evandeenson@gmail.com. I would be very happy to hear from you, so please feel free to do that. Until next time, take care, everyone. Please remember, be safe, be naughty, and always live life to the fullest.